Testing, testing. Attention, please. Greetings, my fellow citizens. Welcome to Let It Rip on Comcast Channel 15, GCTV, Greenfield, Massachusetts. Welcome. I am Reba Raspberry, and I will be your host for the next, who knows how long. Don't know. Yeah, we've got, 2012 issues in another election year. Yay! Whatever. I am so annoyed with the political arena these days, and I would imagine you probably are too. So I'm going to be blabbling and ranting a little bit about that because it's annoying, and it's always fun to talk about annoying things, isn't it? Whatever. All bigotry is acceptable when you're talking about political parties. Those stupid Republicans. Stupid. Didn't we learn how not to play the blame game in like 4th grade? Didn't we? But grown adults, some with college degrees even, call each other names, point fingers, skirt responsibility, and bully others, all in the name of politics. Yeah. I'm tired of the name calling from, like, my friends. You know, it's like, you're a Democrat. Why are you bullying a Republican? Stupid Republicans, it's all their fault. Forget about it. Who cares? Focus on what you do want. Don't focus on what you don't want. Who cares if they're being a jackass? Go about your daily business, right? You know, it's... Is that it? It's kind of mean, isn't it? Probably should break out my mean jar tonight. Whatever. So, you know, it's a place for ugly actors to whine about problems and then never solve them. You know, yet somehow they always seem to get paid. So anyway, stop with the frickin' name calling. That's all I'm saying. I'm sick of it. Everybody should be sick of it. And you know, it's a political system that was put in place on purpose. Kind of like they put together a football team or a baseball team or a basketball team. Whatever. It's the same thing. And I find it very annoying because it has caused division, not only in my life, but in everyone's life. It gives you an avenue to judge people. And, they're a friggin' Democrat. Oh, here's friggin' Republicans. Oh, God, no, he's a Republican. I could never date him. You know, so here we are again, the human species, thinking that we are able to judge anybody and everyone we want, whenever we want, and decide for some reason that they are not good for us or not good for anybody. The whole political system is not good for anybody. That's why it's so obvious to me anyway, that it's a fabricated script meant to give us the illusion of having a choice and having a little bit of control over the fate of our futures and stuff. So get out and vote. Beat the bad guy. I would like to let you know what I know about Democrats and Republicans. Yes. Would you like to know how to tell the difference between a Democrat and a Republican? Here's how you can tell. I have a list. Because there's several issues that define what it is to be a Republican and what it is to be a Democrat. Right? I mean, there's issues that we all think about and deal with. I've expressed great confusion in these troubled times, trying to figure out what I am. I don't even know what I am anymore. Am I a Democrat? I know I'm not a Republican, but I'm not sure if I'm a Democrat anymore either. So I'd like to not only assist myself in trying to figure out what I am in this political arena, but help you too. Yeah, wouldn't that be fun? Yeah. So let's clearly identify the differences between the two parties, shall we? Because we have a pretty big thing coming up here in November with this voting thing. These bastards, they don't give a crap about us. And they don't have to. Our votes are already calibrated. Yeah, did you know that? that there's essentially only one company in the entire country in charge of electronic voting. Yeah, one company. There was two, but they merged into one, yes. I'm gonna start that one over. I'm a little schizo right now, you know that? There was two companies that calibrate the votes in this country. ES and S and Diebold, although they merged, they mated and became one. Yes, they did. Little schizo. I think it was the apple and all the burping. Okay, so some of the differences that define Republicans and Democrats. The issue of abortion, for instance. Democrats are generally for abortion. Unwanted pregnancy is, like addiction to drugs or alcohol, tardiness, and procrastination, an affliction and therefore to be treated by the government. Right? Is that how Democrats feel? Republicans are generally opposed to abortions, unless, of course, it's one of their own daughters who get knocked up, right? And then they're whisked off to a private facility and nobody hears about it, right? Until maybe 20 years later when the love child hits Us magazine or whatever. Republicans and Democrats are also divided on the issues of animals. Democrats believe that wild animals should have all the rights of humans, protect them from any harm, and allowed to die slowly. I don't agree with that. Maybe you do. I don't know, do you? And so, yes, they want, oh my God, I'm having a hard time today. Whew. Stevie Nicks, Kind of Woman from her Belladonna album. Great song there. You listen to Let It Rip with Reba. Yes, and I'm letting it rip. You know, don't sanitize what you say. Let it rip. Tell us what you really think. Because you know what? I find nothing more annoying than a fake-ass person. I'm having a hard time with this. I don't quite know why, but whatever. Republicans believe that wild animals were put here for sport hunting. Yeah. Provide a little expensive but gamey and tough meat, and an additional fur coat for their skank. Yes. Both think that domestic animals and the raising thereof needs massive government support. And this often results in an excess of such animals, which are then killed, burnt, or buried instead of being shipped off to the starving humanity across the world. Because we don't want to piss off PETA, right? Yeah, I don't want to piss off PETA. I like PETA. Whatever. Okay, capital punishment. Democrats, what? Democrats are for capital punishment. Republicans, or wait, Democrats are against capital punishment. Some of them anyway, whatever. Because Democrats are supposedly the compassionate and tolerant party. Are they? I don't know. Some of my friends on Facebook are calling Republicans some pretty mean names. I don't know how compassionate and tolerant that is. But capital punishment, you know, it's especially if it's someone who had a bad childhood, you know, then we can make excuses for why they slaughtered 47 people. You know, oh, they had a bad childhood. You know, spare them. Let's spend $62.50 a day on them in prison. And maybe, just maybe, they'll be rehabilitated to the point where we can let them stab trash on the highway. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, capital punishment. Republicans like to kill people. This is what I hear anyway. The Republicans' position on this issue of capital punishment is clear and based upon the Judeo-Christian Bible. Now, let me read that again because this is pretty insane. That's kind of crazy. Okay, electronic voting machines. There are no known certification processes that will protect against vote rigging and technical failure. Does that make any sense?
An eye for an eye makes the world blind. That's what Gandhi said.
Whatever. So the children. Democrats and Republicans are always divided on children. Democrats love children as a group and find individual children a pain in the ass. The annoyance of individual children is easily appeased by hiring illegal aliens for your house to be your nanny. Yes. Do Democrats do that? Yeah, I guess they do. I don't know. I think everybody might do that if they could, right? Republicans love individual children, but they don't like children in groups, and they tend to class children as not part of God's plan. What? So, yes.
See Jeremiah 18:21. It says, "So give their children over to famine, Hand them over to the power of the sword.
That's really mean. Really mean. Democrats and Republicans are also divided on crime. Democrats know that when someone commits a crime, it is society that has failed and should have to pay in the form of higher taxes and reduced freedom. Republicans believe that every person inherently knows right from wrong, whether they were raised by a slut on the mean streets of Leiden Way or by a wealthy hotel mogul in the richy burbs of Hollywood. They know the solution to violent crime is to beat the hell out of perpetrators. Just kick their ass.
I'll teach them. They know better.
Democrats and Republicans are also divided on drugs. Yes, drugs. Democrats have no qualms about recreational drugs. Sometimes they even inhale. But however, medicinal drugs are another matter. Since they think of the general populace as children, they want these drugs highly regulated. Yeah, and let's make sure that there's lots of chemical companies making tons of money off of pharmaceuticals. Yeah. Lots of money, because we need that for the pockets of the lobbyists. Right? I don't know. Republicans with drugs are absolutely verboten, according to the Republicans. What the fuck does that word mean, verboten? Verboten. Whatever. So it's rumored that many folks actually have great fun with such drugs. Therefore, they are opposed to them, Republicans. Republicans don't like to have any fun. I don't know what's up with that. So it's a basic principle of conservatism that having too much fun is bad for your character. You just don't have too much fun. You might look silly. People might judge you. You don't have fun. You know, God forbid you get down and play like your kids, you know? I think that's something that we grown-ups forget. I know I forget. You know, we take life so seriously. We get all serious about everything. It's like, oh, damn it, I have to pay that bill. And oh, God, I got to go over there to the grocery store. And I better not forget my fucking cloth bags. I hate going to the store and forgetting my bags. You know, so we get all stressed out. We're taking life too seriously. You know, and then we get cranky when our kid's like, Mommy, will you play with me? And we're thinking, my jeans are too freaking tight to get on the floor and play with you, damn it. No, I'm not gonna play with you. I'm gonna stand here and do dishes and be pissed about it. We have to remember to get down on our floors and play with our kids, or play with your cats, or play with yourself. Just play. Just play. It's good to be happy. Yes, it is. So why, you might ask, why am I focusing on negative things on my show?
Because it's fun. I think anyway, whatever.
Republicans support the consumption of vast quantities of alcohol, even though it kills more people by a factor of 10 times than all the illegal drugs. Yeah, all they support it, yep. And this makes sense because while it may get you high and out of control, technically, it's a controlled substance. Yeah. Yay. So yeah, therefore the Democrats and Republicans are extremely divided about the drug war. War on drugs. We must have war. Yeah, so whatever. So strangely, while Republicans oppose the use of recreational drugs and Democrats are much more tolerant, they both support with great enthusiasm the so-called war on drugs. Yeah, because they all have friends in the CIA. Yeah, lots of friends in the CIA. So this is because the war on drugs has little to do with drugs, but it's all about big business. Yeah, lots of money. Yeah, so large profits and incentives, yep, as well as an expression of political agendas. And more control. There you go. Where's that queen of the world? She had better control over things than the freaking government does right now. Who cares if somebody's ass crack is hanging out? So what? So making a distinction between Republicans and Democrats with regard to the world war on drugs, allowed that time-honored tradition of governments, the seizure of private property, to be instated. I'm not going to read all this. This is really lame. I'm not gonna read all it. I'm just gonna keep going because Democrats are divided on a lot of things, and war on drugs is just not the most important thing. It's not. War on drugs is not the most important thing on this agenda. No, it's not. So anyway, drug problem is very close to being a natural disaster, which governments love as they can spend freely without complaints. Yeah, did you ever notice that?
I don't understand. How can people of this country who so adamantly call the opposing political party a retard or call their opposing political parties jerks or a-holes or all the horrible names that I hear Democrats and Republicans calling each other, they're so adamant about being against each other, you would think that they'd actually care about their votes.
Yeah, so on education, the government, the Democrats and Republicans, the political party, the teams, the red and blue teams of Democrat and Republican are also divided on education. Democrats are for universal government, providing all public schools and everything kids need, right down to the chicken patties. How many times, this is my question to public school systems, how many times a week do you think children need processed, packed chicken meat? You know, you look at the school menu and there's like chicken nuggets and chicken patties and like 3 times a week. Pfft, whatever. That's a good reason why you should pack your kids' lunch. Don't let them eat that crap. Whatever. Okay, so Democrats are all about universal government taking care of public schools. And to make it fair, all educational institutions must be equally horrible. Of course, that only applies to the general population. Politicians send their own children to private schools. Yeah, lots of private schools. Oh, I think those lights do f me up. You know that? Oh my God. Yeah, so politicians send their own children to private schools so that when they graduate, they might actually be prepared to make a decent living somewhere, right? Or at least they've met somebody that they can marry and suck off of. So Republicans support private education, but do not see any reason why the institutions should be government funded. Yeah, why fund education when you can fund the war on drugs? Yeah. They particularly like the idea of religious and military schools, to snap people in line, and feel that children are better equipped to be taught in a state of perpetual obedience. Perpetual obedience. We can't even, like, our dogs and cats and stuff can't even be in a state of perpetual obedience. How can we? I mean, it's just not fair to expect people to be obedient.
Lots and lots of catnip. Got to keep those felines happy, you know.
How are you ever going to have a creative input on your life if you're constantly worried about the rules?
Whatever.
So Democrats and Republicans are also divided on the environment. Democrats see the environment as another means to control the masses, even if global warming exists. Which it does. The climate is changing. So that whole, I should do a show on that. We should talk about global warming and stuff and the abrupt climate change that I think is on the way.
Whatever. So, okay, so whatever. So,
the environment also divides Republicans and Democrats.
Yep.
And it's certainly a powerful tool to keep the masses towing the line. You know, if you make people believe that they're to blame for everything, then they're going to have an element of guilt that's going to fuel them to do what you want them to do. Right? Like, hey, let's put one of these spiffy little things on your car so we know where you're going and how many miles you're doing it. Yeah. And then we're going to charge you to put it in your car. Yeah. We're going to monitor every move you make. And then depending on how many miles you drive, you get to pay more taxes. Yeah. Drive. Drink up the fossil fuels. Yeah. So Republicans were a little late in appreciating the merits of environmentalism and have therefore had to live with some pretty bad press because, you know, you got to be a real dumbass not to care about the environment considering it's like the only one we have, right? All those space programs can go to hell. You know, we still, all the billions and trillions we've spent on the space program, we still have a hard time getting on a freaking low orbit.
Billions on space programs? What the hell are you gonna do in space?
Hello. So it's not like we can just go find another planet, right? Yes, so blah, blah, blah. However, some Republicans finally, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. I don't want to talk about global warming. I thought I did when I wrote some of that down, but I don't want to talk about global warming right now.
On the border of Tijuana, people are growing 12 loads of marijuana. Maybe someday our friends will be American farmers.
Is that why? I mean, why else would you cut social, environmental, and health programs if you're not a jerk? That's what I want to know. So anyway, as we can clearly see here, the Democrats and Republicans seem to be quite equally, whatever. Just depends on how you look at it, right? And what your beliefs are. You know, do you like apples or oranges? Whatever, it's all the same.
Yeah, so I have some petty predictions here that are kind of interesting. I don't know. It's just more of Reba being obnoxious. Petty predictions. Yeah, so I think Romney's definitely going to get the nomination because that was obvious when Obama ran an anti-Romney ad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, you know, they cast him in that part of the play probably a few years ago. Yeah, they picked who they're going to run against. Who knows? With their electronic voting machines? Seriously, I mean, everybody needs to look that up. If you want more information about what I rambled about the electronic voting machines and the companies that own them and all that caca, please look it up and start making noise because, you know, just like we proved to the world with the SOPA and the PIPA acts that the Congress and Hollywood was trying to force on us, we showed them where our power is, and so we can do that with this as well. You know, to have honest voting. That would be nice, wouldn't it? To see really who does win. But anyway, whatever. So petty predictions. Everyone starts having serious tinnitus due to the squad silent sounds. Yes. But fortunately, no one complains because they've been told not to. The pipeline goes in, yes. Although, what, Obama said no to it. It's still going to go in. You watch. And SOPA and PIPA pass. Yep. All without a word from your president. Yep. Just like the National Defense Authorization Act. Yep, for months he said, I'm not gonna sign it, I'm not gonna sign it, I'm not gonna sign it, and then he signed it. So I find it pretty hard to believe really anything that comes out of the White House. So although Obama still hasn't walked his talk and is just a bunch of hot air and teeth, he gets reelected with the help of all you cud chewers. Yeah, the silent sound spread spectrum and electronic voting machines at your side. Yes, helping you feel free.
What's the office of a large... Who's talking? I can hear somebody talking. Oh my God, it's the it's the silent sound spread spectrum. Yeah, and like I see little floaties. Seriously? Oh my God, they're really hitting me hard with the direct energy weapons today. That's exactly, and the fact that I didn't think of that sooner. Oh my God. Wow. So anyway, Democrats and Republicans are divided on many issues, and they always will be because the system was put in place to divide the people so that we're busy fighting against each other and not paying attention to the corporate raping that we've been taking from every single freaking company and government institution on the planet. The system is so flawed, okay, that they're serving our kids chicken patties in public schools. Not to mention hamburger. The hamburger that our kids are eating in public schools has more feces in it than frigging my panties. That doesn't make any sense. So how is our government functioning? I mean, it's so flawed and so stupid. If you really believe that by voting Democrat or voting Republican, that you're going to make a squat of difference, you're delusional. Delusional. You know, I used to believe, oh yeah, I got to go out and vote. And yes, I'm going to vote. Okay? I am. But I used to think that it really mattered. You know, here on a local level, it matters. Okay? It really matters, you know, how you vote locally. And if you were to ask if you can watch them count the votes, they'll hustle you out by security. Yeah, security will come right in and drag your little ass right out.
Hey, don't tase me, bro! Don't tase me! I didn't do anything! Ow! 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 Ow!
So no, you can't watch us count the votes. And then they're thinking to themselves, do we actually count them? No, you don't count them. They can calibrate those machines any way they want. So if you think that your vote counts, if you think that the circus that's taking place on television right now or in the media or wherever the hell it is of this election year is not a fabricated piece of Hollywood horse crap, then yep, you're delusional. You're delusional because it's all fabricated.
I wanted to draw a picture that describes effectively the false left-right paradigm. The Republican Party props up the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party props up the Republican Party. By itself, a single-party system will fall over. But if you take the two-party systems and you lean them up against each other, this is basically the arch. Their force going together keeps them together and makes it become a very strong, stable platform on which they can build their hierarchical New World Order system. So the current two-party system has been dominated and bought up and controlled by the elite that sits atop it. Now the elite with a one-party system would not be balanced on top of one party. They would be subject to being toppled. But you put the two parties up against each other, they form a royal arch. And now it's very hard to separate those two because they're leaning up against each other. And so this is a controlled paradigm. And really it's one unit supporting themselves and containing revolution so that the people who were down here never learn that there is a world outside of this controlled paradigm. We are locked within the left-right paradigm, and then it becomes this huge pageant, this huge distraction where we analyze every facet of the two political parties, never realizing they themselves are simply a front or puppets for a larger power structure. And then they can limit the scope of differences, which, if you look at it, there's almost no difference between the two, instead of getting the people to look outside the box at the wider world.
You know, Obama, and I said this several times already on my show, Obama told us a few months ago who was going to win the Republican nomination. Yes, he did. And I have to take my hat off now. Because my forehead is itchy. Yeah, those are the direct energy weapons. Yeah, he told us a couple months ago who was going to win the nomination for the Republican candidate. Yes, he did. With his anti-Romney ad. Romney is the guy. And, you know, they keep going back and forth, and who's going to be the flavor of the week? Who's going to be the flavor of the week? Well, this week, it's Lizard Boy there, Newt Gingrich. Yeah, this week it's Newt Gingrich. Has it ever been Ron Paul? They don't want to talk about him very much, do they? Romney, that guy, man, somebody needs to mess his hair up. Seriously, I really just want to, like, mess his hair up. You know, and thwack him really hard in the nose, like, right there. Because it would make his eyes water. Yeah. It would. Have you noticed in the primaries, he stands there and he's like faces his chest towards whoever's talking. I mean, he just looks like a jerk. Whatever. So that's not very nice for me to say. That's pretty hypocritical, isn't it, Reba? Yes, it is. Whatever. I was going to make a point there, but I forgot because my forehead started itching. They're getting to me, man. They're getting to me. They're getting to me. I'm tired of talking about politics. Yes, so,
You want to see something really scary?
in scary news, Congress is getting ready to ban incandescent light bulbs. Yeah, isn't that exciting? Yeah. Do you think that they know that CFL lighting causes dirty electricity to make us all a little wacky? They're like these lights here and making me insane today. So in addition to raising auto fuel efficiency standards 40%, an energy bill passed by Congress bans the incandescent light bulb by 2014, replacing it with the mercury-filled CFL that is linked to autism and ADHD.
Scary news. Scary news. Yeah, so although CFL light bulbs are known to cause skin cancer, contain harmful levels of mercury, scramble all radio waves into incoherent wads of irritating headaches, and cost a big ton more than the old-fashioned incandescent ones, the government is going to make sure that you save the planet with your reduced energy bill by phasing out our alternatives this year. Yay! Your government cares so much about you saving money that you won't have a choice pretty soon. Yeah, because the money-sucking holes of our government that are eating our world and human rights is in fact all your fault. Yes, it has nothing to do with the corporate conglomerate hoping to cull the herd quietly. So break those bulbs and toss them into the landfill. Yeah, it's better for the environment than a higher electric bill. Cha! Yeah. So that's scary news, right? Sort of. That's Reba-style scary news. Totally. So, I've been thinking because like the SOPA bill and the PIPA bill all did their thing last week, and luckily we kind of beat them out with all the internet blackouts, which is really good. Anyway, and I've ignored it. I've like been in my little world of denial, not wanting to think about all the ways that the government is taking our rights away. I don't want to focus on it. I want to think about it because I don't want to generate more of it. And granted, I know I'm a hypocrite, so go ahead and say it. I make fun of a lot of things negatively, and I tease and whatever, but focus. Anyway, what am I trying to say? So they have a new act, and I don't have it up in front of me, but there's a new act that the Obama administration is pushing through pretty hard, and we need to be paying attention. It's the Anti-Counterfeiting Act or something like that. Let me find it here real quick. Yeah. ACTA is worse than SOPA, and here's what you need to know. Really cool website called The Watchers. Watchers dot whatever. Google it. I'm not telling you. So yeah, ACTA is worse than SOPA. And here's what we need to know about it. As a warrior for internet freedom, you help defeat the Stop Online Piracy Act, or SOPA, by supporting web blackouts by sites like Wikipedia, and by contacting your lawmaker to voice your displeasure. Yes. Excuse me. So loud was your voice that even the President of the United States sided with you in opposing it. Yeah. But don't take a deep breath. Yep, of relief at this time, because after all, we're talking about a merger of Washington, D.C. and Hollywood here, as well as global interests. And after the motion picture industry, its subsidiaries, and all interested parties have spent nearly $150 million lobbying for some sort of internet-centric anti-piracy bill. So you should have known the powers that be would return, and they have. Only this time they are pushing something far more painful, the ACTA, or the Anti-Counterfeiting Trade Agreement. So although the proposed treaty's title might suggest that the agreement deals only with counterfeit physical goods, such as medicines, what little information has been made available publicly by negotiating governments about the content of the treaty makes it clear that it will have a far broader scope, and in particular will deal with new tools targeting internet distribution and information technology. Yes. So we need to remain vigilant, because they're on us. They're trying to take everything. And if we're blinded and we're busy thinking about who's winning the friggin' Super Bowl and who's winning the friggin' primaries and who's on Dancing with the Stars, and we're all busy, picking our boogers while we're sitting on the couch watching friggin' TV all the time, or out shopping, or doing whatever mindless mouth breathers do, then we're not going to have a chance at making sure these things don't happen to us. And we need everybody involved in this. We need everybody. We need the 100th monkey. So you people need to freaking step it up and start focusing on the things we do want, paying attention to the things that we need to be paying attention to, but in the same time focusing on winning, not the fight. Focus on winning, right? I don't know. Like, that sounds kind of good. It kind of sounds pretty good. Whatever. Anyway, so whatever. I wasn't going to talk about that because, it's just, it gets me going. And, so in lieu of thinking about that, the whole online piracy thing and the National Defense Authorization Act that Obama signed, after months of saying, I'm not going to sign that, I'm not going to sign it, I'm not going to sign it, I'm not going to sign it. And then on New Year's Eve, he signs it. Yeah. So, it scares me a little bit, because I run my mouth quite a bit, about how I feel about the government and our leadership in this world. And I really don't want to be indefinitely detained for just having a big mouth. So anyway, I was not going to talk about the whole SOPA thing, and I was going to try and clean up my act a little bit, but then I started writing my monologue today, and I couldn't stop. It's just like, I can't. No matter what, regardless of my own safety, I can't keep my mouth shut. What's the deal with that? I don't get it.
Imagine for a moment that somewhere in the middle of Texas there was a large foreign military base. Say Chinese or Russian. Imagine that thousands of armed foreign troops were constantly patrolling American streets in military vehicles. Imagine they were here under the auspices of keeping us safe, or promoting democracy, or protecting their strategic interests. Imagine that they operated outside of U.S. law and that the Constitution did not apply to them. Imagine that every now and then they made mistakes or acted on bad information and accidentally killed or terrorized innocent Americans, including women and children, most of the time with little or no repercussions or consequences. Imagine that they set up checkpoints on our soil and routinely searched and ransacked entire neighborhoods of homes. Imagine if Americans were fearful of these foreign troops and overwhelmingly thought America would be better off without their presence. Imagine if some Americans were so angry about them being in Texas that they actually joined together to fight them off in defense of our soil and sovereignty because leadership in government refused or were unable to do so. Imagine that those Americans were labeled terrorists or insurgents for their defensive actions and routinely killed or captured or tortured by the foreign troops on our land. Imagine that the occupiers' attitude was that if they just killed enough Americans, the resistance would stop, but instead, for every American killed, 10 more would take up arms against them, resulting in perpetual bloodshed. Imagine if most of the citizens of the foreign land also wanted these troops to return home. Imagine if they elected a leader who promised to bring them home and put an end to this horror. Imagine if that leader changed his mind once he took office. The reality is that our military presence on foreign soil is as offensive to the people that live there as armed Chinese troops would be if they were stationed in Texas. Shutting down military bases and ceasing to deal with other nations with threats and violence is not isolationism. It is the opposite. Opening ourselves up to friendship, honest trade, and diplomacy is the foreign policy of peace and prosperity. It is the only foreign policy that will not bankrupt us in the short order, as our current actions most definitely will. I share the disappointment of the American people in the foreign policy rhetoric coming from the administration. The sad thing is, our foreign policy will change eventually, as Rome's did, when all budgetary and monetary tricks to fund it are exhausted.
That's scary news for you. Some scary news. Scary, scary news.
Weird science.
Now for some science. How about some science, some Earth news? Yeah, so did you know that the Dead Sea is shrinking? Yeah, and they're all freaking out about the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea's shrinking. It's a huge tourist attraction. Can't have the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea can't shrink. No, we need it. We can't let go of the Dead Sea. It's dead. Let it go. It's drying up. It wants to go. Let it go. So here we are, humans, trying to control nature again. Yes, the Dead Sea has proven attractive to the potash industry, whatever that means, whatever. Yeah, so the Dead Sea is drying up. People are freaking out over it. And get this. So there's this other lake. It's flooding. And they're freaking out over that too. It's like they can't just let things be, you know? It's like, just let it dry up. Just let it flood and move away. You know? What makes us think that we can control the earth? Oh, here it is, yes, Devil's Lake. Devil's Lake in North Dakota is a slow-growing monster. The huge lake that has steadily expanded over the last 20 years. And so they're freaking out over that because everybody's vacation homes and stuff on the shores of the lake are disappearing. Oh, that's terrible. You can't let nature take its course. You have to control it.
We're also dodging some more bullets. in regards to near-Earth objects that are potentially hazardous asteroids. Yes. On January 27th, in 2012, BX34, a brand new discovered asteroid, 13 meters in size, whizzed right past us by 0.2 lunar distances. Yes. And so it looks like we're out of the, well, January 30th, there was another one, 20 meters at 5.8 lunar distances, but that's pretty far, So hopefully they can see these things before they're too close. Yeah, but they have those, what is that thing called? And anyway, I can't think. That big laser that they have that they can point at things and blow stuff up. But they don't want to tell us that they have this because they don't want to tell us they have it, but they have it. And there's some conspiracy theorists out there that say that that's what happened to Comet Elenin. Yeah, because many of us watched it blow up. There was an earthquake, a 1.3 magnitude earthquake in Hatfield, Massachusetts the other day. Yes, very interesting. And then there was a 3 something down there in Virginia where that big one was last August. Is that August? Yeah, August 23rd. Yeah, so a 3.1 about 6 miles from Mineral, Virginia. Yep, and about 85 miles from Washington, D.C. So there's been a lot of activity going on out there. Pretty interesting. There was a big old quake. What's that? That's really not big, but like a 5.0 something in Utah. So we're seeing some more earthquakes that we don't necessarily see in places that we don't necessarily see them. Pretty interesting. Very fun stuff, because the Earth has changed her look many times. I mean, she has seriously changed her look many times over the course of her life.
We come to the Earth, which, grew to get here, the way it is now. Here is our world, our planet Earth, floating in space. We will be going backward in time, imperfectly, but done in a very disciplined manner. Please notice there is no subduction, no rotation of tectonic plates, no twisting, no form-fitting, no altering shapes or sizes. It would be impossible for these continental plates to fit together perfectly without this being true, and yet the upper tectonic plates fit together perfectly on a much smaller planet. Yes, there's been some erosion, landslides, blah blah, but overall this activity is insignificant. There is a kind of conspiracy of silence among certain scientists. They know, but are not telling you, that the upper tectonic plates of Earth also join in the Pacific. Not partially, they join totally. You are asked to believe that the continents swim or drift about willy-nilly, bumping and crashing as if they were on a greased skillet. This is not true. The simple truth is apparently too upsetting to too many apple carts. We're now going forward in time to show how the actual growth of the Earth took place. Imperfect as to details, but the overall is nailed. Antarctica, as you see, has become subtropical. Africa, on a smaller globe, moved way downward under the globe. In fact, for hundreds of millions of years, the bottom of Africa was the South Pole. South America's tail goes under and wraps around the bottom of Africa. Then incredibly, it joins coast with Antarctica. 65 million years ago and more, these continents were joined, and marsupials like the duck-billed platypus roamed from Australia, Antarctica, and across southern South America and up into Africa. The platypus. Dinosaurs roamed all over this world on the upper tectonic plate because there were no oceans, just shallow seas. Here today, Antarctica is frozen over, and Australia and its surrounding islands are the remaining home of marsupials. Do you see how broadly the Pacific is opening compared to the Atlantic? This is exactly why the knee-jerk Pangea theory exists. The Pacific spread is too difficult to easily visualize because it's so big. The Atlantic spread is so obvious that a child would recognize it, but they are the same.
And just because we humans are here paying attention, sort of, doesn't mean she's going to stop changing her face. Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know. So that's Earth News, whatever, Earth News.
You're listening to my mom letting it rip, 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 rip.
Get your sticking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Did that monkey just come out your crack, man?
And in animal news, lots of animal news. Animals are so cool. Make sure you treat your animals well. You know what? They all have, all mammals have the same brain parts as we do. Yep, they have the hippocampus, and the hypothalamus, and the thalamus, and the pituitary, and the pineal. All the glands that secrete all the little peptides, proteins, and amino acids that we need in order to think, process, behave, have emotion, all that stuff. Look it up, man. Just look it up. Google it if you don't believe it. But it's true. So for us to think that, that your furry little fuzzy knickered critter cat at home who's, got the ability to lick his butt, doesn't have an emotional experience when, you leave him at home for 3 days without the lights on and no TV. If you think that he doesn't have an emotional experience, then you are a big caca bad word. Yeah.
I feel crazy.
I actually think this is animal news. Humans are animals, and we have a newt running for president. And the thing about newts is that their body parts can regenerate. So that, to me, explains why it doesn't matter how many times he gets censored or fined or thrown in jail or, divorced or how many affairs he has or anything. He just keeps going. He's like the Energizer Bunny, which is sort of Mitt Romney, except so we have animals, basically. So with Newt, there's no question. I mean, it's his name, for goodness sake, and you can see the evidence. I just hope that he would stand up for stem cell research, because that's the rest of us who are not newts. That's our hope for regenerating after we're hurt. I think we all should have that opportunity. So, Newt, if you're listening, I'm not making fun of your nature. I'm just hoping that you'll allow all of us to get as close to that, kind of like a cat, too. Many lives. You have many lives because of your newtness. We'd like that, too, in our own. Thank you.
When it comes to eating critters, I don't want to take... Anyway, I was not part of my rant. God. Freaking ADHD or something. Yes, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit more about Dr. Royal Raymond Rife. And I've talked about him before on my show. I think it's incredibly important for us to all know what's going on, what he's done, what this man done. He's not with us anymore. I think he died in 1971. But anyway, back in the 30s, he built like the first most amazing high-powered microscope ever, and he was able to magnify germs and viruses 90,000 times. Yeah, and what he did is he discovered that there is a microbe that causes cancer. There's a microbe that causes virtually every single disease that we have. Yep, and it can easily be killed by matching its frequency with electromagnetic radiation and waves, and even light frequencies can kill these microbes, parasites, tapeworms, you name it. His technology kills it in minutes. And they did an experiment, a whole research thing. Look it up, Dr. Royal Raymond Rife. And there's a book out there called The Cure That Worked about this man. He got a couple awards from the AMA before they decided to, renege on the awards and write him out of medical history. But he cured 16 people of cancer with this technology. They were deemed terminal by their physicians. And so they went to this research study group with Royal Raymond Rife, Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, and he cured every single one of them. If you don't want to be cured, if you're stuck in your victimhood, whether it be conscious or unconscious, then you're certainly not going to be seeking, you won't be seeking any cures, right? No. Anyway, I was going to give you the animal news, but I got all excited about Dr. Royal Raymond Rife. So here, let's play the new animal news thing again. Want to? How about it?
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Did that monkey just come out your crack, man?
Yeah. Oh, donkey. It's okay. Yeah, that's my animal news little montage thingy-wingy audio art. Yes. Yeah, so in animal news, the Great Central U.S. Shakeout Drill scheduled for February 7th. That's not animal news, is it? Nope. That's some more scary news. Wow, I'm all over the place today. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. Animal news. Mass migration of snowy owls from the Arctic. Thousands of snowy owls from the Arctic have been spotted from coast to coast in Idaho, Montana, Missouri, and even here in Massachusetts. Yeah. Owl experts say the phenomenon is likely linked to the lemmings. Those damn lemmings. And I'm not talking about Democrats. So anyway, lemmings, a rodent that accounts for 90% of the diet of the snowy owls during breeding months that stretch from May into September. The largely nocturnal birds also prey on a host of other animals from voles to geese. Yep. An especially plentiful supply of lemmings last season led to a population boom among owls that resulted in each breeding pair hatching as many as 7 offspring. That's a lot of little owls, 7 of them. So in January 2009, a snowy owl appeared in Spring Hill, Tennessee, the first reported sighting in the state since 1987. Yes. So this year, competition for food in the far north became serious. Snowy owl populations are believed to be in an overall decline, possibly because of changing climate, has lessened the abundance of vegetation like grasses and lemmings that lemmings rely on. Research on the animals is scarce because of the remoteness and extreme conditions of the terrain that the owls occupy, including northern Russia and Scandinavia. The owl landed at an airport in Hawaii in November, but was shot and killed to avoid collisions with planes. That pisses me off. That bird flew a long damn way for your dumbass human to friggin' shoot him. Yeah. So in more animal news. Have you heard about this one? Pythons eating through the Everglades, the mammals there at an astounding rate. Run for the hills. There's another good reason why it's okay to live where it's cold sometimes, because you don't have to worry about pythons eating your children when they go outside to play. Yeah, and you also don't have to worry about big alligators eating your children when they go outside to play. Yeah. And you also don't have to worry about swarms of fire ants eating your children when you go out to play. That's why I like New England, because we don't have to worry about those things here. It's too damn cold for those critters. Yes, it is. Yes. You get a constipated snake. Ew. Yuck. Anyway, so people have been letting them go in the wild, and then they breed and they take over. You know, they're not meant to be in the Everglades. And so the raccoons are taken completely by surprise. Like, what the friggity frack is this thing doing here? It's just squeezing me to death, man. What is this? So anyway, it's bad. Anyway, more animal news, which is really exciting. The elusive snow leopards photographed. Yep, and they steal camera. Snow leopards are one of the most elusive cats on Earth. Not only is the species endangered, but it is notoriously shy, and much about where snow leopards live in the wild remains mysterious. Not unlike the governments of the world and their addiction to public surveillance, researchers installed 11 camera traps in the remote region of Tajikistan in the hopes of invading the privacy of these elusive, beautiful, and very private animals. They got a big surprise when their camera traps revealed at least 5 snow leopards were living in the region, including a mother with 2 young cubs. Over the 3-month study period, the camera snapped pictures of a parade of creatures, including the mountain ibex, Marco Polo sheep, the largest in the world, a rare mountain weasel, a variety of birds, and a family of snow leopards. So when scientists returned to retrieve their camera traps, they only found 10. Yep. 1 had gone missing. Yes. So a close look through the piles of pictures revealed the culprits. Yes. Dun, da, da, da. The 2 snow leopard cubs. Yep, a companion camera trap to the stolen rig caught the two leopards' red pod. Yes. They stole it. They tore it off the tree. I took it. I said, this, what is this? This is mine. We're going to play with it. Shouldn't be there. Yes.
Air Force One. I want a big flying saucer. They don't use any gas. They're really quiet, and you don't even need to wear a seatbelt. Yeah.
But yeah, talk about light bulb conspiracies. Have you ever wondered why the frick there is not one light in your entire house that can detect that embarrassing, elusive mustache hair? And there isn't one in the entire world that can detect those invisible chin hairs either. I mean, why is it that you're driving down the road and all of a sudden, there it is, in broad daylight, shining in the sun, that mustache hair that you can never see, but you can feel it, and people look at it. Your dog looks at it. You try to pluck it with your fingers once you do find it, but never, never. It can never happen. It can only be captured with cunning stealth and ability and by pulling the car over. Some of us actually have tweezers in our purse and will stop at nothing to get that hair in our rearview mirror. Shining. Shining in the sun. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You're watching Let It Rip with Reba. Thanks for joining me today, folks. Peace out.
Are you off your fucking meds or something?